Okay, so you've had a chance now to watch the video about items that sink and float. I went ahead and I collected a few things in my house that I'm going to try and see which sink and which float. So right now I have a car, I have a spoon, a rock, with an acorn, an apple, and a Happy Meal toy. So each one we're going to test, and you're going to think while I'm talking, do you think it's going to sink? Do you think it's going to float? Let's start with something easy. Here's the rock. Do you think it's going to sink? Do you think it's going to float? Okay, let's try it out. I have my big bucket of water here. I'm going to tilt this just a little bit so you can see better. So here's the water. Here it goes. Oh, right to the bottom. That is definitely sunk. This one is a sinker. Okay, let's try the acorn now. Do you think it's going to sink? Do you think it's going to float? Okay, here we go. It floats. Okay, next, let's try the Happy Meal toy. Do you think it'll sink? Do you think it will float? It's very light, just so you know, if you don't have one of these, it's very light. Let's see what happens. It floats. So we have two floating items and one sinking item. Here's the car. Do you think the car is going to sink or the car is going to float? Ooh. Let's test it out. That sunk straight to the bottom. So now we have two items that sink and two that float. Sorry, my camera's not in here. Okay, two items left. We have a spoon. This is a kid's spoon, so it's pretty light. It's plasticky kind of. Here we go. Oh, it's floating. I thought for a second it was going to sink, but it's floating right here at the top. I'm going to float it over that way. Last one is my apple. It's pretty heavy. It's a big apple. Do you think it's going to sink? Do you think it's going to float? Here we go. It's floating. Do you see it right here on the top? So we had 4 items that floated, apple, the toy, the spoon, and the acorn, and 2 that sunk, the rock and the car. Okay. Were any of those surprises for you? I know a lot of times when we do this together in the classroom, my friends are always surprised that the apple floats. But they do. I'll give you another hint of something else that's surprising that floats. They're orange and round, and we see a lot of them now because it's getting close to Halloween. What do you think I'm talking about? Pumpkins. You want to try one out? Okay, your job. Go find some items in your house. You don't have a bucket, you can use your sink. Plug it up. You are going to need a grown-up to help you. Plug it up, put some water in it, and then test your items to see if they sink or if they float. Let me know how it goes.